fix to start kicking ass, just like it said at the beginning of the program.
Man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
Sending your ass on the jabroni jet to the other side of the territory, brother.
The Alabama Hammer.
Nightmares on the best part of my day.
The goods from the woods.
Hot damn!
Welcome to the Goods from the Woods. My name is Rivers Langley.
Pat Riley.
This is gonna man of the hour, tower of power, too sweet to be sour.
And our guest today from Royce, Georgia.
Caleb Synan.
Yeah.
Did you say Royce?
There we go.
It's Royce, right?
Royston.
Royston. Try
I
that
didn't know
again.
if that was like you knew. I was like, I
thought it was Royce.
Get it right, will you,
It's
Rivers?
all right.
It's
all right.
Royce.
It's it's the crack of one. It's still early.
What county is Royston in?
Franklin County.
Oh, okay.
We had the record for chicken houses one year, like per square mile, and we had the teen pregnancy record
Nice.
All right.
just per capita.
Yeah.
Right.
Killing it. Alabama's
Doing pretty good in meth now too. A lot of
Putting
meth.
it on the map. That's what I look at.
Is that central
It's
Georgia?
closer to Greenville than Atlanta. It's like
Oh,
the
okay.
northeast tip.
I think Alabama just got named syphilis capital of America. So,
Really?
Yeah.
I thought syphilis is one I thought had like polio. I thought it's been eradicated.
No, it's curable, but it's also people be getting it.
People in Alabama be getting it, apparently.
Yeah. So I met Caleb about 4 years ago when I went up to Athens, Georgia, to do the open mic at the Flicker Theater.
Oh, man.
Met Caleb, met our friend Ed Bermilla. Shout out to him.
Oh, wow.
Peoria Rock City.
Gin and tacos fame.
Yeah, dude. So
He's actually like really like got a great following. You guys familiar with gin and tacos?
No.
Is that a
It's like-
food?
He's just this really well-known political.
yeah, he's a poli-sci professor. Used to be based out of Athens, and now is up in Chicago by way of Peoria. He's a funny fucking. He's a
What's
funny
his
dude.
name? Gin and tacos?
Well, his name is Ed Bermilla, but his website is Gin and Tacos, and it's a blog, like a political blog, and he just yells about Michelle Bachmann and stuff like that. He's great.
But it's like more than Jon Stewart. It's more liberal than Jon Stewart and more filthy.
Yeah.
So it's like but it's really funny.
But yeah, man. So I've known Caleb for a minute, and now you actually live right down the street and moved to LA.
Really close.
Yeah. When did you move here?
July.
Okay.
It's like July 5th or 6th. Because I remember it was like we're in the middle of Texas and it was July 4th.
Oh, okay.
And you felt like you were in Texas on July 4th.
Yeah.
We're just at a motel. People are really having a good old white time
Yeah.
around there.
And then-
shooting their guns, yelling.
Well, and then you get here on July 5th or 6th or whatever, and everybody still has plenty of leftover fireworks. So you get to deal with fireworks for the rest of the
It
week.
was a weird time to move across the country. But yeah, I've been here since July. I love it.
And digging it so far?
Oh, it's the best.
Enjoy the endless summer.
I mean, I don't see how anyone could be opposed to it.
Yeah, but so we just did a show down in Long Beach, and
that
so
was great.
Had a long ride down there to talk about late night TV, and I was like, oh, this is a perfect this is a perfect topic because Caleb just recently got to do the Conan O'Brien program.
Conan O'Brien program.
Yeah, which is fucking awesome. When it happened, I was like, oh shit, I know that guy. It was really exciting.
It's really weird because I feel the same way whenever I see someone do one. It's just weird to see someone
Yeah.
like with that makeup on and the TV camera. It's a bizarre thing to see your buddy.
Yeah,
on TV.
and even even if it's not a late night show, just even like now you see people like I know on commercials and stuff like, which is really trippy. It's sort of like the curse of LA. I think is like if you ever have to leave, you're going to go back to wherever you came from and just see all of your friends on TV for the rest of your life.
That almost sounds like the
Yeah,
Twilight
but
Zone.
I don't feel that jail just seeing people on commercials and shit.
Right.
That's not exactly, having conquered Hollywood.
No, it's not, but it's still, I don't know.
Yeah, there's like a thing
It's,
where it's like
you know-
seeing Robert Yasamora pitching Bank of America. It's
Right.
like, I
Yeah,
could do
exactly.
that.
I love Robert, but at this point, I'm like, I want to see Robert and more.
Yeah, I do too.
I want Yasamora of Robert.
So what's the process of that precedes doing something like Conan O'Brien? Because I've heard people mention, 'cause it's kind of a rather arduous process to get to the point prior, to the show, and kind of if you could explain that to the listeners.
I mean, I'm a big nerd about it, so I know someone else on Earth is.
Yeah.
I don't feel bad about going on about it. But the Conan especially is a long process because the booker does it really, really well and really correct for what he's going for. And he wants every set. He tries really hard to make it the best one that he's ever had. Which it feels like a real honor because he really wants to help you craft to where people get done and go, wow, that's the best Conan shot I've ever seen. And he's a real nerd about it. And he's really specific. And I knew that going in. So I was a real creep and I watched about, 200 Conan sets on YouTube to get kind of see what his influence was and like what he wants and what he goes for with different people. And so I kind of, just was real creepy with my laptop until I figured what the Conan spin and style to put on jokes I already have. Like how could I be on Conan? If I were booked, how could I get my set to have the kind of flow and theme, the way a good late night set is. I was like, okay, I kind of see how he likes to do them. So I did a lot of that as much as I could, kind of blind. I hadn't met him, and then when I knew he was in the audience, I was like, all right, I'm going to do what I think he would like. And it still, there was a long process, but
right, because I'd heard from people that like there's a process of like there's this very sort of deliberate scripting of it where it's not just like you have to have your set basically set ahead of time and you have to run the jokes and with the booker or whoever the producer is
and it has to not conflict with the network or the advertisers. So you have to submit it to someone you will never meet and hope they like it.
Unfortunately, we can't go on TBS and talk shit about WCW.
Oh, man. I wouldn't do that anyway.
Yeah. Not even like 2001.
Well, by that point, wrestling was so bad, but still better than that WWF shit.
But no, I mean, of my 5 minutes, about 3 minutes are devoted to WCW Thunder around 2000.
Right, just be all
they help you craft a WCW set when you go on.
It's all Scott Steiner jokes and shit.
So did you work with the guy and tell him what you were going to do and all that? And he said, did you have he had input into your set and he helped you structure it and everything?
Yeah, I mean, he did a good bit. I did what I thought he would do, and I guessed right for the most part. But when I performed in front of him, I did 6 minutes, and then on the show you get 4:45. It's a very specific 4 minutes and 45 seconds.
Yeah. Wow.
So most of it was like figuring out how to make it still that 6 minute set still makes sense in 4 minutes and 45 seconds, which is the weirdest amount of time to do stand-up.
That is such a weird. And did you like actually like write it out and like just physically see what you needed to excise to get it down to that time, or did you just do it all in your head?
I just submitted a few different tapes.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
And I think they have someone, either him or somebody else that works there, does the actual typing out. When I did Last Comic Standing, you had to type it out.
Really?
And you had to. They just make you do everything.
Wow.
But yeah, the Conan one was actually a lot easier to me than the Last Comic Standing one.
Yeah. Well, and we kind of I talked in the car on the ride. I mean, we're both big fans of Conan, so that must have been kind of surreal.
It's way surreal because he's better than I thought he'd be. He's the nicest guy possible.
That's all. That's really good to hear because I've always kind of like I've been watching that show since I was a kid. It's I think probably 6th or 7th grade. I caught on to like Space Ghost Coast to Coast and Conan O'Brien, and those were like the two cool things I watched that no one else did at Drake Middle School. So I don't know.
He's also, and this is something I've noticed recently, is for people of our generation, just across the board, I didn't realize how influenced just the way I talk. It's almost up there with Seinfeld. The way Conan talks and his kind of weird humor.
Yeah.
That's the way just people our age talk. That's the way we joke around, is a lot of his kind of stuff.
Well, I mean, I've never been a big like late night television watcher, but I always liked Conan because of the fact that he would just throw things in there that were so weird.
Yeah.
Like there was just kind of, you don't have that with like Leno or Letterman, but there are just these like really weird sort of esoteric things that he kind of throws in there. Like his love of John Tesh. I always thought that, any appearance by John Tesh was just amazing on Conan O'Brien.
Well, any appearance by John Tesh anywhere is usually at least pretty good.
Yeah, because it was like it started out with the fact that they could use Round Ball Rock, the NBA on NBC theme song.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because it was part of their repertoire. And then he got John Tesh to go on the show and perform it live on a keytar. and then it just kind of snowballed to the point where it was just like, let's get it even weirder and weirder and weirder. Like there was one where he had his keytar and he was playing Turkey in the Straw, and they unleashed a bunch of chickens around him. And he was just like kicking these chickens away that were trying to climb up his leg. There was one where, they had Amit and Dweezil Zappa on, and they were interviewing them, and they just kind of did this. The segue was pretty like abrupt, but they were just like, one of our dreams as musicians is that we would love to play with John Tesh.
I don't know if we could arrange this, but it would be so sweet sometime for us to be able to play with John. It would have been so cool if, like, as opposed to me doing that dance thing, we could jam with him. I mean, that's like a dream of ours.
You guys jam with John Tesh.
How sweet would that be? That'd be so cool. That'd be awesome.
How would he feel about it? I don't know. I think it's the issue.
But we'd love that. I mean, that's like a dream of ours.
Secretly.
And out comes John Tesh and like his like dad jeans and his denim shirt and he's just like,
you guys know anything by Black Sabbath?
You know we do.
The Wizard?
And then they just start playing Black Sabbath's The Wizard, and it's just and then there's a woman in like an old woman in a soundproof booth. It makes no sense, and that's the thing that's kind of cool about it, because and I guess not conducive to when he kind of took Jay Leno's spot, that it was just so weird. It wasn't middle America. It was like this particular set of people that were up at like, midnight, probably, half drunk, probably half, weed high. And they just enjoyed just stuff that you could really enjoy.
Well, if we want to get real nerdy, my theories on that have changed. I had the same theory, but now I'm like, if you hang out with old people and middle America people, they're not up at 11:30. They're in bed. People with jobs and families,
right. Well,
that live in the middle of the country, they don't stay up and watch. So, like, I think the thing that was the biggest problem with that was just that Jay Leno just still was going before him.
Yeah,
I think was the main issue. But it is weird because like there are people who like hate Conan.
Really,
like I was trying to explain to my girlfriend's grandparents, like Conan O'Brien, like trying to let them know, like, yeah, it's a real TV thing,
right.
And she was, I could tell she didn't really know who, and I was like, Conan O'Brien's got the hair, the red hair, it's like big floppy hair, and she goes, oh, Conan O'Brien, I don't like his show or anything about him. And I do think that is just like some people, anything weird they don't like.
Yeah. I do like how they would take just complete accidents or whatever and then just turn them into a bit. Like one of the last ones they did was before he switched over to the Tonight Show when it was still late night. They had just a bit where they brought out a duck that ate its own poop. Like it wasn't like a planned thing. There was just a duck. And like while the segment was going on,
it could be a nutritional deficiency.
The segment just like went on a little too long, and they held the camera on the duck for a little too long, and it pooped, and then everybody laughed at that, and then it turned around and ate it. So for the next like 2 weeks, they kept bringing out Quackers, the shit-eating duck.
Why'd they have a duck there? Was it some sort of like Jack Hanna thing?
It was just no. It was just some bit. Like I don't even remember. Like I've completely forgotten the original bit, but there was just a bit that needed to end with a duck coming out from a curtain. And then the duck ate its own poop. So for the next 2 weeks, it became Quackers.
Okay, now I think I'm starting to understand why the old lady didn't want to watch it.
It became Quackers, the shit-eating duck, and they just did it over and over, and it was the funniest.
Oh yeah,
like it just.
You ever see the Slipnuts?
Oh my God, the Slipnuts.
It's one of the funny. It's the absolute dumbest, worst premise ever, and they will not. It's relentless.
They still do it.
What is?
It's so bad. But they won't stop.
Like the WWE.
Pretty much. Yeah,
pretty much everything they do.
Well, and it's related in this way because it relates to Butt Rock. They had Slipknot on the show. And so the segment before Slipknot was going to play, Conan was like, all right, so there's been a big misunderstanding and we accidentally double booked this evening. So we're going to have there's a hard rock band. They're very intense. They're very great, called Slipknot. They're going to be coming up next. But we also accidentally booked this strange group. I don't know what this is, but ladies and gentlemen, the Slipnuts. And it was just these guys in these like ragtime jackets and boater hats and canes going,
we're the Slipnuts, slipping on nuts. Clowning around and slipping on nuts. We're the Slipnuts, slipping on nuts. Look, he fell down. I slipped on some nuts.
and they just dumped a bunch of walnuts on the ground and were just like falling and singing this stupid song.
Well, shit, there's no way it could have been worse than Slipknot to begin with.
No, you know what? To their credit, the next night, so Slipknot, that happens. It was great, and then Slipknot goes and plays their song, and the next night they thought it was so funny that Slipknot, the band, had the Slipknots open up for them at the Continental Airlines Arena in New Jersey.
Oh, jeez.
So it's just a bunch of like pissed off New Jersey like Slipknot fans being like, "Oh, what the fuck?" And these guys came out in front of 30,000 people or whatever and did the routine
and slipped on nuts
for like 5 minutes in the whole arena.
They're getting booed so hard.
It's the funniest shit.
And then they do this documentary. It's like a behind the music thing, and they're sitting there like getting ready, and they got their nuts in their hand, and they're like, when people see us slip on those nuts, it brightens their day. and they take themselves way too seriously, and they show him rehearsing. He's like, so I slip on my nuts first. You go, whoa. Then you're when you do that, your nuts fall, and then they're like planning it out, and they go so far with it. It's one of the worst, most ill-advised things, but it starts to be hilarious because you're like, are they still going with this Slipknots thing? It's a bad pun. It's like, why would you double book the same band? Like if you thought it was Slipknot, why'd you book two Slipknots?
Oh, it doesn't make any sense.
So there's not one part of it that's worth doing, but they won't stop, and it's one of the funniest things.
It's
when someone commits that hard,
right? Well, it's one of those like rare things in comedy where it's like kind of funny, and then you get bored with it, and then it comes back and it's really fucking funny. Like when you realize they're not going to stop.
I'm just blown away that Slipknot had them open for them at the Meadowlands.
To their credit, I mean, I don't like their music, but they are like silly.
Oh yeah,
you heard the Justin Bieber mashup that came out with Slipknot. Corey Taylor or whatever was like, "Oh, I love that. I think it's fucking awesome."
Yeah.
I did my time and I went out, so refuse to have fame. It doesn't touch. The soul is not so vibrant. The reckoning, the sickening, packaging subversion, pseudo-sacrosanct perversion. I'm not the only one. And the rain will kill us all. We throw ourselves against the wall. No one else can see the preservation of the mother and me.
Just to give you the listeners an idea of the kind of people that would be at this Slipknot show, the Continental Airlines Arena, probably about 15 years prior, was where they shot Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
That's right.
So just imagine just a butt rock new metal version of all the dudes from Heavy Metal Parking Lot.
But look at how much the music has declined since those days.
Oh yeah, well I mean they were at a Judas Priest show.
Yeah,
so,
I'll take that any day, man.
Yeah, just a bunch of Jersey girls that had no idea that Rob Halford was actually gay.
Right.
And they're just saying, "Yeah, I jump his bones."
Yeah, until later that night, they found out the hard way.
My buddy Blake, his dad had the best reaction to that when my buddy Blake was like, "Dad, Rob Halford's gay," and he goes, "I thought so when Turbo Lover came out."
I had my suspicions with Grindr.
I don't know. I mean, it's like if you ever watch the video for Hot Rock, and you're just like, yeah, it's pretty obvious.
I think,
I had a friend who wouldn't admit Freddie Mercury was gay.
Really?
Yeah. It was this old guy, Kenny. He lived in Weymouth, Massachusetts, and he would not admit. He talked in a really high voice, and he wouldn't admit Freddie Mercury was gay. I told him he died of AIDS. He was like, it must have been from the drugs, huh? And I said, no, it wasn't from the drugs. Oh, it was the sluts, wasn't it? Yeah, it's the sluts guy. I just told him that because it was easier to explain to him that Freddie Mercury was gay.
Yeah. They when the Rob Halford thing came out, they did like a segment on MTV where they were going around to some, I think it was New Jersey. They were like in the parking.
Of course, yeah.
They were in the parking lot asking people like what was their reaction and shit like that, because it was the first Rob Halford was like, he left Judas Priest for a couple of years and then came back, and after, right when he came out of the closet was when they started the tour, and so they were asking people in the parking lot. They were like, like, oh, what do you think about the news that Rob Halford comes out of the closet? And this was kind of the moment I knew that like America was going to be all right in the end, was because this just the most stereotypical metal fan ever comes up and they're like, oh, what do you think? And he's like, I don't give a shit if he likes Doberman pinches. Rob Halford is the greatest frontman of all time.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, we might be okay.
And he likes Doberman pinches.
That sounds like that guy's into Doberman pinches. That's very specific.
Yeah, that came out of nowhere.
Yeah, he's trying to rationalize it.
Right, yeah.
I think Rob Halford actually came out in the greatest way ever, because he was being God, what magazine he was being interviewed for? I think it was like Metal Blade or something like that. One of those metal magazines.
Metal Blade.
Yeah, Metal Blade or Metal Sludge. I don't even know. Kerrang. But they interviewed him. They're like, so Rob, if you were to have sex with any celebrity, who would it be? And Rob Halford's response, without like a pause, was Howie Long.
Oh wow!
And the interviewer was taken aback, and he's like, "You're gay?" And he's like, "Didn't you already figure it out?"
Yeah.
It's like, have you listened to my music?
Yeah.
Have you watched the videos?
I saw Judas Priest at LA Live about this time last year. It was fucking awesome. Yeah. Although I couldn't help but they did a song called Valhalla, and all I was thinking about was your line, "Good night." That rock and roll was.
Oh, it started off being about fucking, but then white people got a hold of it and became about alienation and Vikings and shit like that.
Yeah, as soon as he started, he was singing this Valhalla, and I was just, your voice was just in my head.
White people love that Nordic mythology. I don't know what it is. They really do.
Well, it's the only culture we got.
Yeah.
So I take the Greco-Roman mythology myself. The literature is better.
Yeah.
I'm frightened to be proud of anything in my past or my ancestors. So I just kind of...
Oh, because it's going to be dark and horrible somewhere else.
So I try to take no pride because in case something comes out,
Yeah.
Yeah, but, Homer, it's still a good read.
One Conan thing that I always thought was just absolutely amazing, that I'm just a complete fan of, is Pierre Bernard's Recliner of Rage.
Tempers are really running high in this country, and we have one person on our staff who's particularly angry. One of our show's graphic designers, Pierre Bernard. There he is. Pierre says he knows how America feels, and he's ready to articulate our anger for us. He thought he might as well be comfortable while he does it. So here he is now in a little segment we like to call Pierre Bernard's Recliner of Rage.
He's complaining about, not being able to use multiple coupons at Michael's to buy, art supplies and stuff like that. And the thing is, America, Michael's should allow me to use multiple coupons during a single transaction. And my girlfriend should know that Monica, the cashier girl, wasn't hitting on me, and thus she shouldn't be mad at me.
Bottom line, America, I wish Aaron would order the same juice brand consistently so I can collect all the caps I need to make juice bottle cap portraits.
Thank you, Pierre. I'm confident there is one or two other people in the world who know exactly how you feel.
Stay strong, my brothers.
All right, then. Pierre Bernard.
And it's so random. And then they would just work him into just random sketches as well, where it's just like they'd have him like on an exercise bike for no reason whatsoever.
Have you ever
like,
been into a Michael's?
What?
Have you ever been into a Michael's?
Yeah.
Have you ever been the only man there?
I remember one time.
It's usually the way.
Yeah,
but it's still hard to pick up chicks at a Michael's. It really is.
I remember one time Jesse Case and I were the only two guys in a Michael's, and he was looking for little letter stamps to put on the keys of a typewriter, which turned into him trying to explain it turned into a feat in of itself. But we were the only two guys there, and I think that's like the normal thing at a Michael's.
It is. I use the toilet there all the time because there's no toilet in the Goodwill. It's beside it. At the one in Torrance.
There's no toilet at the Goodwill?
Not at this one that I go to.
Oh, wow.
So I have to use the Michael's. It's in the plaza. You're the only man there. But it's still hard to pick up girls because they look at you weird when you come in or something. Like you walked in and the lady
because they know that you're using the toilet.
Well, I mean, the Goodwill didn't have one.
You'd be getting something framed.
That's that guy that comes here and shits and leaves.
You got to do what you got to do.
You just kind of have that aura about you, good night.
That I won't come in there to take a shit? Is it that obvious? Am I like the Rob Halford with gay? It's like, you have to take a shit, Mr. Goodnight? Isn't it obvious?
My other favorite is the FedEx Pope.
Oh, the FedEx Pope. That's one of the...
Which is another great example of just committing so hard to literally a guy putting trash on his head. Like a guy sitting in an office put a piece of garbage on his head, and then they went on national television, and that was 20 years ago.
Well, I love the thing I think Conan does that the other shows don't do is I don't think they've ever said at the show, that's funny, but I don't think we can do that.
Right. No.
Yeah.
I think the only reason they won't do something is if they're like, hey, you can't do that because Mountain Dew's a sponsor. I think that's it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
if it's funny, and as long as they're not, using whatever, I guess if you don't say the F word, you're fine. Like,
right.
Because they really do push it. They're like, okay, so everybody thinks FedEx Pope's funny? We're doing it.
It's amazing television because they will have a bit that totally flops, and because it flops, they just continue doing it.
Right.
Like they're stubborn in that sort of way. There's
This
almost
sounds like
weird-
wrestling.
Yeah, it's almost a weird thing where if a sketch hits on the first time, they're like, well, it's not going to have any staying power because it like worked the first time, so there's nothing you can play around with, It just becomes one of those things where it's just like it flops the first time, and they're just like, all right, we're going to run with this until it actually, you actually get some. juice out
Well,
of
if it works fine, it's good. Send it out. There it is.
Yeah.
But it's like, I do think that's funny that they're like, well, let's keep going. We've
What-
still got some work to do.
What did you come up with as far as?
I don't watch any of them. When you said he was doing late night TV, I
Nothing?
thought we was talking about infomercials.
What's your
I
favorite?
just don't watch that stuff.
What's your favorite infomercial?
Right now, the guy with the pillow, my pillow.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell. I've invented the world's most comfortable pillow. I make them right here in the United States. Do not change that channel because the next half hour is going to change your life.
Have you seen that?
No.
He's really militant. It's this guy, and he's got like this memory-foam type pillow, and he's real militant about pillows. The
Big pillow companies don't want you to get a good night's sleep.
Big pillow?
yeah, he's fighting against big pillow. Yeah, I'm like, God damn it, man! Everything on here doesn't have to be a conspiracy. You could just say it's a comfortable. But I never seen nobody so angry about pillows.
I was tired of not getting a good night's sleep.
Was it Jesse Ventura?
Well, no, he probably sounded a little less like Jesse Ventura.
industrial complex keeping me from slumbering. The lizard people over at Sealy don't want you to know this.
But when it comes to the talk show, I just didn't because once upon a time there was things like Dick Cavett, and they would actually have a conversation on the talk show, and talk about things with the guests. But at some point later on, it just became like a commercial. It's just bring a guest out, have him show a clip from his movie, plug it, bring the next guy out, and I see stuff every now and then, but I never regularly watch the shows. But I don't know, maybe it's changing now from the way you guys are talking about it. But I just really don't see them shows.
Did you watch Dick Cavett?
I've watched that in reruns. I'm not that old.
I mean, I know that. Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
But he would actually engage his guests. Because remember, he did that thing like with John Lennon, and they did a whole thing after the show ended.
They did a whole week.
Yeah, when he brought on like Ralph Nader and like Dick Gregory and stuff.
And guys would get heated on stuff like that. Even on who was the other one? Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Michael
yeah.
Douglas. Remember, he got a little heated with Muhammad Ali once and everything. And there used to actually be a little bit of talk and back and forth and substance on the shows. But later on, it just became a glorified commercial. I mean, I watched Letterman sometimes, and I thought it had the top 10 list book in the toilet. And
Right, yeah. Well, I think Mike Douglas was it Mike Douglas or Dick Cavett that had Jimi Hendrix on?
it was Dick Cavett.
Dick Cavett.
Yeah,
And Dick Cavett did his research, and you can tell he's a much, much more intelligent person than Jimi Hendrix the entire time.
Right, but it's my favorite part of that is just when Jimi Hendrix goes to play, he doesn't have the experience with him. He just goes to play with Dick Cavett's house band, so it's just like the squarest white people ever trying to keep up with Jimi fucking Hendrix.
Well, I think the reason they changed it from the Dick Cavett way is because those examples you gave were like really good, and most people, even now, when they try to make it interesting, and Jimmy Fallon will be like, "Let's play beer pong," he'll try so hard to make a celebrity look interesting, and some people are just profoundly uninteresting and bad at being themselves and talking.
Well, yeah, and TV's changed a lot since then, but I mean, it's just a change I can't do nothing about, but it's, not one that terribly interests me. I mean, I remember the big late-night dynastic war between Leno and Letterman in the mid-'90s and all that.
Were you a Letterman guy?
Yeah, I was a Letterman guy.
Well, I think David Letterman's the best ever. I mean, at that time, the '90s Letterman that was like had the CBS show and was like that is the funniest
with Muja Burns, Sarah Jewel, and all that.
I thought he was awesome in the night. Like in the '90s, I think it was great because it was Conan was being crazy, Letterman was being crazy
and angry.
Yeah, it was great, and it was before his heart surgery, so he still had that pep, and he was like doing all these remote sketches, and he would just run outside and stuff.
Right, where they just throw shit off the roof.
Yeah. He was really excited. He was like, "Look at this show. He's got this budget." Like,
I don't know, but David Letterman never put Hulk Hogan in an arm bar. So
Yeah, that's right.
That's why he lost.
You remember when Hulk Hogan put Richard Belzer in the front face lock?
Oh yeah, that was funny. And then Richard Belzer like passed out, and then he ended up suing. And didn't have to like do anything for like 5 or 6 years because he got all that money.
What show was that on?
It was a local New York show hosted by Belzer. And it was Hulk Hogan and Mr. T who were on the show because they were promoting the first WrestleMania, which was like a few days away.
And Belzer was doing comedy on a local.
And Belzer, was doing comedy, and he was just like, "Well, I heard that wrestling is fake." And
Hogan put him in a front face lock. Is that how faces it?
And then kind of lifted him too.
Yeah.
And then Belzer just passes out, like he just goes completely limp.
And then he just jumps up and he's got a little bit of blood and says, "We'll be right back." But, I mean, that's that bald guy. He got what he deserved.
Is that considered slander?
Assault?
To say it's fake?
Well, in those days, there was a big thing with the wrestlers where you protected the business, and if anybody said it's fake, you shut them down fast enough.
Beat them up.
Yeah. And
even
it worked.
even if it is Richard Belzer.
It worked. It was expensive, but
I
supposedly...
think he should be off the hook because he really beat him up. If it was fake, he would have fake beat him up.
Yeah, then Belzer would have been right, but apparently Belzer made a lot of money off the lawsuit and bought a house he called Shea Hogan after that.
I think the Hogan money funded his JFK conspiracy hobby and all that sort of stuff.
God. I think Shea Bulea would have sounded better anyway.
Shea Bulea, yeah, exactly. Is he a conspiracy guy?
Just JFK.
Oh, just JFK. Okay.
Yeah.
I like how now that's still like people forgot about that.
That's old school.
Because Hulk
man.
Hogan's done worse things recently.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Oh my
Whoever
God.
his PR guy was like, "Hey, maybe don't fight people and say the N-word a lot." And he's like, "No."
Right. And then retweet all lives matter and shit like that.
I love with the Donald Trump retweet when he retweeted the thing about it was from a Nazi page.
Oh,
He
yeah,
didn't
yeah,
know. And then they're asking him about it. He goes, "Look, it was a retweet." That's one of the funniest things I've ever seen on the news. When somebody goes, "Look." I've never heard that.
I want to do a research.
It was a retweet.
It was a retweet.
Like, why? It's just the silliest thing I've ever heard. It was a retweet.
I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
I'm a big fan, actually, of the failed hosts of late night shows.
Yeah,
those are great. That's
Rick Dees.
Rick Dees.
Rick D is a DJ, right?
Yeah,
and they
did Disco Duck. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they gave him a late night show for some reason.
Do you remember Pat Sajak?
Did he have
the
a show?
Pat
Sajak,
show.
19, was it 89 or something like
Yeah.
that? It was hyped out the ass, and it was a huge flop.
Well, yeah.
Because it's Pat friggin' Sajak.
Do you remember Chevy Chase?
Chevy Chase was my second.
I actually
favorite
saw
flop.
a few episodes
Chevy
of that.
Chase was like known for being a funny person. When I
Right.
heard Pat Sajak had a show, I was like, Pat Sajak?
Pat Sajak. Yeah. Like Chevy Chase is a proven commodity.
Well,
in
Chevy
comedy.
Chase was kind of at his career low point at the time when he had that talk show. I mean, I think he just done another national, what was it, Vegas Vacation or something like that?
Something like that,
No,
yeah.
Vegas Vacation was right after because that was like 95, 96. And the Chevy Chase show was 92 or 93.
All right, it must have been that long period where Chevy Chase could do no right. Then.
What station was that on? Was that on ABC?
I thought it was Fox.
Or Fox, yeah, because there's always like a ton of shows that ABC and Fox want to throw their hat into the ring, and they always just like fail miserably with it.
There was some funny shit though on the few episodes of the Chevy Chase show. There was. I remember he announced he read the obituary for Benny Hill, and he said apparently he was killed by a short bald man who'd had enough.
There was what other ones were great? In the Thick of the Night is my favorite.
What's that?
Alan Thicke had a
What?
Yeah.
That's another one where it's like, is he funny? Like,
No.
Why are we giving somebody?
No, it was like Growing Pains was done, and they were just like, okay, we need to keep this
in the thick of
in
the
the
night?
thick of the night with the E at the end.
I hate a pun in the title.
Oh, yeah.
Get
Like,
out of
in
here.
in the thick of it, I get, but in the thick of the night sounds
In the thick
real
of the night.
nasty.
It kind of does.
Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to think
Isn't
about
isn't
that.
Alan Thicke
don't wanna
real
know
good
about-
connected or something like that?
He has to be.
Or in Canada or something? Isn't he something more than just the Growing Pains guy?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course. Of course.
Everyone's something more in Canada.
Yeah, they just
I guess so. That explains why they bought all them Rush records.
Yeah, exactly. It's like Brian Adams is
Canada's
like the minister
real
of
land
culture.
opportunity.
Dude, there's so many like Canadian comedians that I know out here that all like had shows in Canada and they just came down here and have to start over.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's so weird.
Like
how
John Candy and people like that.
people will tell me like they're like, yeah, I had my own show in Canada, and no, I'm doing open mics in LA. No
Yeah.
one knows who the hell I am.
Yeah.
But I'm like, wow, it doesn't transfer at all. They're like, no, I thought surely something. But they're like, nobody respects.
Yeah.
It's so weird because it's like, yeah, if he had his own show, maybe give him a pass. Like,
Right, yeah.
he's a real comedian.
Maybe at least get them past open mics.
Yeah. But they're like, no, you start over. Like, come on. I just feel like we don't give Canada enough credit.
I know, man.
They're
Apparently not.
Apparently not.
they're a whole country up there.
Yeah, they're doing their own thing.
Shit, maybe we should
yeah,
go
I
up
said-
there and get some TV shows.
Yeah, I know. There was
saying,
somebody at
I'm-
the Unurban that was just like, yeah, I had a show on like in Canada.
And now
like,
I'm at the Unurban.
now
Well, there's
you're at the
homeless.
Unurban,
There's the refugee camp outside.
yeah.
Yeah, and the guy who looks like every member of Foghat.
Yeah.
and the guy that looks like a haggard Howard Stern, but is dressed like Africa Bambaataa, that like has the staff, and he tries to like invite all the women
the guy
for
with
like
the
private
staff.
yoga lessons in his van. Like literally, he like walked up to one of the female comics and was just like, "Yeah, I'm a yogi. You into yoga?" And she's like, yeah. No, she did a bit about yoga. He's like, "Oh, you're into yoga. I'm a yogi. I give private yoga lessons."
Is a yogi what you call a yoga teacher?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
that's why Yogi Berra got the name Yogi, because he used to sit kind of.
Sit crisscross applesauce
Yeah,
in
yeah.
the field. People said he looked like a yogi.
Wow.
Yeah. So
Mm-hmm.
they
You
was
learned
just-
it here
I
first.
think any nickname you gave someone caught on back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
It was like,
Oh,
all right.
especially in baseball.
One guy said
baseball.
yogi. Now that's the end of
Oh,
that.
Jesus, in baseball, yeah.
I've been trying to get a nickname my whole life. I don't
Yeah.
think nicknames work the same.
Oh, they
way
were
anymore.
calling like Puerto Rican guys chief and shit like that.
Oh,
where it's
wow.
like,
well, no, I mean, if you were at all anyway Native American, you were Chief
You were
something, Chief Bender, Chief.
yeah.
Oh, baseball.
Yeah.
Baseball still pristine.
Yeah.
Pristine old school.
I just love it. I love the yogi guy trying to get oh God.
Yeah, he looks horrible.
Yeah.
Like, he looks like he's got the staff. It's just like you can't imagine.
I know
this
that
guy's
guy. I don't know
flexible.
that guy's name though, but I know all them derelicts hang around there. We're
there's
pretty acquainted.
There's an older guy too that also has a staff. Like they're big on walking, like a wizard staff. This isn't like a cane or anything like that. This is like a wooden.
Oh, it's like what Dr. John comes to the
yeah. Like he bought it in.
What was that guy, Rafiki or whatever?
Well, I mean, it's for protection.
from Lion
From Lion King,
yeah,
yeah.
Rafiki. Yeah,
They had the staff with
the baboon.
Yeah, with the nuts on top.
Yeah. So if you want to try some stand-up comedy,
Yeah, go down to the Unurban.
Yeah, first get a show in Canada.
go to Canada.
2,
get a
come to
show.
America.
Then-
3, have it be ignored, and 4, end up at the Unurban.
And 5, put the gun in your mouth.
Such a night. Such a night. Sweet confusion under the moonlight. Such a night.
I think usually the high watermark that people always do to make fun of late night shows that flop is like either the Chevy Chase show or the Magic Johnson show.
Rick D's name was Mud in that respect for
Really?
a long time. Yeah.
But in the thick of the night was just bad because like he wouldn't even ask questions. He would just be like, "So you got a movie coming out?" And that was it. It would just
Like
be
Larry King.
This awkward, but like Larry King has like the stuff in between, like before he prefaces all of his questions really quickly, like in that really quick voice with all that,
And then
like,
he asks
extemporaneity and
nothing.
stuff, and then he asks nothing. Like Rick, like why did I almost say Rick James? because
that show would have been.
That would have been amazing.
It's time for our latest segment. How hot is this crack pipe? Can you get out of these ropes?
But yeah,
Special guest Linda Blair.
Yeah, it was just really like it was painful to watch the interviews.
We have a fellow with us tonight who revolutionized comic books back in the 60s with the creation of a number of superheroes: Spider-Man, Daredevil, the Fantastic Four, the Hulk. He's the man responsible for Marvel Comics. You've seen these on the stands. This is Stan Lee. What do they mean when they say comic book revolution?
Well, I don't know what they mean, but to us, we mean the Marvel comic books, which we like to think started a new style in comics, more realistic. If you can imagine fantasy superheroes being realistic, that's the gimmick.
Yes, well, I can't. So this is something that our children are reading, Stan.
Well, you're making me feel incredibly comfortable out here.
No, I don't mean to do that at all, but I know you'll have great justification for the fantasy in these comics.
It was like really bad.
Well, that's so funny because usually the thing that makes me mad is when someone can't even get a hold of that. Like someone will ask them a pretty good question, be like, "Yeah, so I heard you and Gwen Stefani had a thing here when you did this," but they'll be so like a great question. They'll be like, "Yeah, it was." Yeah, it was pretty cool. It's like, oh my God. Like, some of the celebrities, I'm like, millions of people are watching you.
Yeah.
You're like, so many people would die for this opportunity, and you're like, yeah.
I guess this is why they moved away from the conversation format.
Yeah, because
celebrities can't talk anymore.
Right. I think that's why Jimmy Fallon's doing so well, is because they're like, okay, I can't answer a question, but I can play beer pong.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Who can't do that?
Who's your favorite celebrity guest? Who's like the ideal celebrity guest when it comes to?
Well, Norm Macdonald, I think, is
of course
the best.
Yeah.
Dave Chappelle's really good.
Mm-hmm.
And Tom Hanks is great.
Yeah.
Tom, as far as someone who's not a stand-up comedian, Tom Hanks is really solid. Okay. And there's some people who are can be like Johnny Depp. I think is so weird that it's hilarious.
The craziest shit about Johnny Depp, I saw him on Jimmy Kimmel about 3 weeks ago, and he was wearing the exact same outfit that all of the Johnny Depp impersonators wear out on Hollywood Boulevard. He had the hat, he had the scarf, the fucking like the Bono tinted glasses, like he had the whole outfit. I was like,
well, they read the papers and things, so they see what he's wearing.
Right, but that whole outfit is based on a thing he was wearing back in 2003. So it's just like so strange.
Well, it wasn't the fashion of 2003. It's not. No,
it's the fashion.
It lasts forever because it doesn't. No one else is doing it.
Yeah, no one else dressed. Well, him and Steven Tyler.
Yeah, those two.
They have the same fashion sense, but other than that, that's about the only two people that dress like that.
Maybe really it's comfortable.
Tom Cruise is a great guest. Mm-hmm. Watch Tom Cruise on a late night show. He kills it.
Oh yeah, yeah. I think he just kind of.
He's got that enthusiasm. He's like, let's have some fun. Like, even when it's too much, it's interesting.
He just kills it in life generally. I think whenever you see him doing anything in public,
doing his own stunts still.
Like fuck, what would that guy do if he wasn't a movie star? Like imagine that dude working at Jiffy Lube, just like, hi, it's so great to have you here.
Well,
oh my god,
what the hell has he done besides being a movie star? He's been a movie star since the mid '80s.
Nothing. That's what I'm saying. I guess he was born to it.
Or he just can only do one damn thing.
That's what I mean. Yeah, he's never not Tom Cruise. That's for sure.
That's the problem.
If cast right, it's not a problem.
But
he's
man,
one of those guys
specifically, and this is fun. But Norm Macdonald on Conan is one of my any example of it, and he did it a lot because I think Conan really appreciates it and lets him do anything.
Oh yeah,
man, there's one. It was so funny. It was during the Leno Conan problem, and they just announced that Leno was going to do the 10 o'clock show right before Conan, and Norm Macdonald goes on there and he goes, "Yeah, it's funny how Jay Leno fucked you over," and then they're all laughing, and he goes, Yeah, I wonder if I bet you were real excited when you got the show and you sat there with the champagne and said to the people writing the contract, "Hey, good thing I'll never have to fucking follow Leno again." He goes, "Well, sorry." Oh, and they would just let him do anything. And he always does something really odd.
Oh, yeah.
He went on Conan and said he thinks he could host Conan better than Conan. You see that? Where he goes, they give him 60 seconds to do a talk show. I mean, it's just the best example of somebody being like, I'm going to try and be an interesting guest. I'm not just going to sit there and answer questions, but he prepares really interesting and different bits every time.
Well, yeah, and he's also kind of at least when they were still in New York, was kind of the perfect guest because he was working at SNL like just upstairs or whatever.
Yeah.
So he never was really promoting anything. It was just like, oh, we have a hole to fill.
That's
So
true. They
call
never
Norm.
show a clip really.
Well,
No,
that makes stuff better. Is when you can have a guest on there and they could be doing plenty of stuff, but when they're not just there to promote, they're there to do something.
Right.
And I think that makes stuff a lot better.
Because it's part of the it's not part of the press junket. It's not part of the thing where I think one of the things that you were talking about, Goodnight, is that there's so much kind of corporate synergy between the holdings of like NBC, Universal. It's not just NBC. There's all the other sort of parent companies.
Yeah, what do you call
sister companies? So they
vertical
get
integration. Or whatever.
so they get all the people in there that have NBC or Universal related projects. And it becomes one of those things, okay, you have 5 minutes to be able to plug, this new show or this new movie or this new album that's coming out. And it's one of those things that gets very, so whenever, Mark Maron would come on or Norm Macdonald would come on, it's always one of those things that's just like, oh, this guy's like around. So we'll just, fill up some time.
Yeah, he's reliable.
Yeah.
And Bill Burr does that now on Conan. He just goes on for no reason.
Oh, that's my favorite. Yeah.
And sometimes it seems like Bill Burr does not have something.
Right. Well,
like Conan will just be like, what do you think about this? And he goes, and I'm like, is he just going to make up his opinion on this right now? And it's always great, but I feel like Bill Burr's opinion on anything at this point is hilarious.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of the times when he's on Conan, it's always stuff that he's maybe like kind of roughly done on his podcast the Monday before. So it's great. I listened to that podcast, so it's great to be able to hear stuff on Monday, and then when it actually makes it to Conan, you're like, fuck, he polished that joke off in like 2 days. It's perfect.
Well, he has like, from what I understand, like carte blanche at the Comedy Store.
Oh,
and
yeah.
So I think he gets like the sweet spot, and there's 3 rooms. So I think he can get up 3 times a night all week. So if he comes up with a bit on Monday and then goes to Conan on Friday, I mean, who knows how many times he could have done that.
Yeah, that's
just
true.
there.
Yeah, they just let him perform like, at all 3 rooms kind of sequentially. Like, okay, there's a show in the belly room. We'll just have Bill go up there and then he'll go to the other one and then the other one.
That's just so cool that he can just, because I mean, that's such a great resource to, I mean, that's like, that almost reminds me of like most people's jobs. Like, okay, in this building, I'm going to do this 3 times, boom, 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 and then go home. And like he's really crafting it. That's so impressive to me.
Paula Deen might be like next door. That's a very strange situation she's in right now. Now that the hammer came down. Because now it's like, all right, the executive's got to be like, all right, what is because she's basically like a $100 million whale just sitting there. No, that's not a fat joke. That's a gambling thing. All right? Get
Not
your
a fat
mind,
joke. That's a
not
gambling
fat
joke.
I mean,
yeah.
like, she'll make you $100 million. And she's just sitting there on the beach, right? And they got to figure out what is the acceptable amount of time.
Yes.
After somebody drops the N-word or admits to it that you can bring them back on TV to make cookies.
Yeah.
That's true. That's what it is. So you're saying she's going to be back.
You're saying
on.
she's coming back.
She's making. Dude, they should just have a channel for people who screw up, and you just put them on that, right? Just put them on a channel, like the Disgrace channel or something, right? You could have like, and it's like you're in like the penalty box, and you just stay there.
Terry Bradshaw had a short lived.
Oh, Terry Bradshaw.
That was good.
I liked it because he admitted he didn't watch any of the movies that the guests. Shit, he had Anthony Michael Hall on once, and he went ape shit because he'd actually seen Weird Science.
That was the one movie he'd seen.
Yeah, he loved it. He kept talking about they had the brow on their head.
When was the Terry Bradshaw show on?
In the 90s something.
Oh, that's perfect.
So it's an even more it's a topical sort of thing that he could talk to.
Yeah,
Anthony
It
Michael
wasn't a
Hall.
sports show.
Yeah,
It was a talk show.
He hadn't seen Dead Zone. He had just seen Weird Science.
I haven't seen Dead Zone either. What is it?
Well, that's the one that Anthony Michael Hall would have been promoting at that time.
Oh,
right?
okay. Well, see, nobody remembers it now, but they still remember Weird Science.
I'm amazed any of the hosts have seen any of it because don't they? The show is all day.
Yeah,
9 to 5 at the show. Then you go home, have dinner, play with your kids for 5 minutes.
Oh, it's even more crazy.
How do they have time to watch every movie? Like what, 5, 6, 10 movies a week?
Yeah. Well, it's even crazier with like when Jon Stewart. Because he had to read like all these books, and you're like, is this motherfucker reading a 1,000-page book about Andrew Jackson? Is he really?
That's what, if I got offered the Daily Show job, I would try to negotiate for fewer books I had to read.
Right.
Just because I'd be like, oh my God.
Or I would just have a man read them to me.
Yeah. I would
Maybe
hire.
he just gets the notes, or he reads the first chapter and the last chapter.
I would hire a personal reader to read things and boil them down for me.
Yeah. I'd hire Cliff to actually make the notes for me live in my house.
But they would destroy you if like the Republicans would be like, he has a hired reader. He's not even smart.
Right, yeah. He's not even smart.
Yeah, that would be my Caleb's the worst host ever. He ain't even smart.
Yeah, you have like a guy, your personal reader goes out with like an expose years later. Just like I was his reader.
Rumor has it he couldn't read at all.
He was functionally illiterate.
He was illiterate. I'm impressed by people that I hear rumors that they're illiterate. Because I'm like, how do you live?
Yeah, how did you make it this far?
But apparently, I mean, this might be bad to say, but I've heard Chris
Allegedly.
Tucker can't read.
Really? Wow.
And that's why he's done so few movies. Because that guy that did Rush Hour is the one who directed him the most.
Brett Ratner, yeah.
But I've heard most directors aren't willing to work around that. But Brett Ratner
Oh my
did.
God.
That's just what I've heard.
That's fucking crazy.
I don't know if that's true or
Karl
not, but I've
Malone.
heard enough people say.
R. Kelly, right?
Karl Malone was functionally illiterate for
Really?
a while, yeah, and so was Diamond Dallas Page.
Well, that's why they were such a great tag team.
I think
Yeah,
I
exactly.
might
They're both
become.
functionally
Karl Malone and DDP.
functionally illiterate.
the functionally illiterates.
I'm getting worse at reading, so I think I might get there. I think I might be the only guy to lose my literacy because it's getting harder every year.
My
When
favorite.
you come to LA, nobody reads.
Yeah.
So you lose the skill after a while.
My favorite guest on talk shows is it's an interesting one because he was able to make people kind of revert back to the old style that Goodnight was talking about. Was whenever they'd have Mr. Rogers on.
Oh, yeah.
Whenever they'd have Mr. Rogers on, everybody would just like fanboy out.
Everybody would stop because it was so weird seeing Mr. Rogers
Yeah.
outside of that context.
And they would always have this
yeah.
very gentle conversation with him because like there was like one where he went on Joan Rivers.
I've seen
and
that.
Joan Rivers was just like geeking out.
What do you plan to do? You've written one book now. Do you ever go out and lectures
Sometimes.
and talk seriously about? You were saying that children are frightened of things that adults don't realize they're frightened of, such as.
Things like haircuts, possibility of going down the bathtub drain.
Oh yes.
Do you remember that with Melissa?
Yeah, I still am. But that's. Isn't that funny? They're all frightened of the same things.
But there's so much more to each one of us than meets anybody's eye.
Oh, I'm so glad you came on. Thank you so much. We'll be right back.
She was just like, "Oh my God, it's Mr. Rogers."
She's practically in tears.
Yeah,
I wonder if you're another adult. Do you call him Mr. Rogers? Do they say, "Hey, Mr. Rogers"?
Yeah, I think she called him. I think he was just like, "No, call me Fred." But yeah, whenever Mr. Rogers would come on, it was like, "Okay, we're gonna have a serious conversation right here about things that matter."
Because people are used to him and him being mainly the only one talking. And so seeing him, and he's just like that.
Yeah,
At least
yeah.
he was in real life.
Yeah.
But outside that context of the little set and the trolley and all that,
Yeah.
it was bizarre.
My vote, and this could take us back to Canada. Billy Bob Thornton. Do you know what I'm talking about?
He had a show?
No, he had no as a guest.
Oh,
there was a Canadian radio program where Billy Bob Thornton was a guest as a music guest, and
no.
he told the people that he did not want to discuss his acting career, and the host immediately brings it up, and he just stonewalls him for the rest of the interview, and it's
Wow.
the funniest
Wow.
thing ever, where he gives one-word responses for the next 30 minutes.
Well, I just hate when people have to pretend like why do you have to have another career? Like you're
Yeah.
lucky enough to be a successful actor. Anytime somebody like how often has someone been like, oh, and I got an album coming out? Is that album ever good?
Oh, the worst is the damn celebrities that want to be stand-up comedians, and they bump like struggling comedians at clubs and shit so some rapper can pretend he's a comedian for a night.
The one of the Indianapolis Colts went up at the Morty's comedy joint.
Pat McAfee, the punter or something.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's who it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just like, dude, you got it made.
Wait, you went to
You're
Marty's?
invading the nerds at the comedy club. Like, yeah, I want to go tell
You know,
jokes.
I gotta say, when celebrities want to do things like that, or especially be stand-up comedians, like, do you remember there was a Roman emperor, Commodus, and he wanted to be a gladiator?
Yeah.
How can you be on top and then want to go to the lowest social
Nero.
rung of something?
Or Nero.
When
trying
Nero
to be
wanted to be an
actor.
artist and an actor and all that, shit.
was very frowned
And then he
upon.
just forced everybody to go to his
Yeah,
shows
and he won the
stuff like
Olympics without even winning or being a Greek. But that's what happens when you're emperor.
But Pat McAfee was at Marty's?
Maybe Nero will
Yeah,
be
yeah,
there.
Morty's comedy joint.
Oh, Morty's comedy show. I thought he said Marty's.
Yeah.
I was just like, he paid $5.
He paid $5 to go up in the room with just him and Marty.
Yeah, he bumped Anthony Bublitz, and got his free coffee.
I just don't like it when if you already have achieved success in life and then you go to stand up, no matter what the success was, like I just feel like it's not genuine. It's
Yeah.
like being rich and then starting to rap. I'm like, I feel like you need to start poor
Yeah.
in stand up and rap. I feel like something about that. I feel like you shouldn't be successful. Like it's not for you.
Right.
These two things are for people struggling. And
Yeah,
that's the way I feel. What is this?
Oh, this is the Billy Bob Thornton thing. I'm gonna pull up real quick.
Well, the sound of Maud Billy is a blending of pop music epitomized by bands like the Byrds and the Monkees, imbued with some good old American hillbilly sensibility. Maud Billy is also the name of the new record by my guests, the Boxmasters. If the name Boxmasters sounds familiar, there may be a couple of reasons why. Firstly, Maud Billy is the Los Angeles-based trio's third album in the last year alone. Yes, this is a band with ambition. Secondly, the Boxmasters' principal songwriter, singer, and drummer is a guy named Billy Bob Thornton, whose
He's the
other
fucking
job,
drummer.
some of the time, is Oscar-winning screenwriter, actor, and director.
Ooh,
While Billy Bob Thornton's
you
name
shouldn't have done
is often
that.
linked to his
You shouldn't have
cinematic
done that.
endeavors.
He's a
the
singer.
Boxmasters is anything but a diversion from the silver screen. He's always intended to make music and just got sidetracked.
He looks
music is a major priority in his life, and it's something he's
high as
obviously
hell.
embracing. And I'm pleased to have all the members of the Boxmasters, Billy Bob Thornton,
Oh, he is so mad.
and Danny Baker.
He is so
here in
mad.
Studio Q. Hello,
Danny
guys.
Baker, by the way, aka Unknown Henson.
3 albums.
Whoa, I didn't know
Also,
that.
somebody in the band isn't bad then.
That seems ambitious.
That's the ones that have.
That's Unknown Henson without his makeup.
There's more. I mean, you guys formed Billy Bob. You guys formed only in the last couple of years, right?
I don't know what you're talking about.
How so?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Well, when did the band form?
I'm not sure what that means.
Oh, when did you guys first start playing together?
We started about 2 years ago. We haven't stopped since we got the ball rolling.
Have you done shows before this run with Willie Nelson before?
I've never met him.
Are you being ironic or are you being serious?
I don't really know him.
You've never met Willie Nelson?
He's on tour with
He's a
him.
nice guy.
Yeah. You guys don't really hang out on tour. You don't know what I mean.
No.
So how is it that did Willie choose you guys to come on tour with him?
Shit, I don't know.
All right. Well, this new record.
Anyway, it's my favorite thing ever.
Shit, I don't know.
Just Billy Bob Thornton Canadian interview. It'll come up. It's the fucking best.
I remember one Conan interview that just vividly, where it was The Big Show, Paul White, the Giant, whatever, Tom Selleck, and Sue Johansson, the Sunday Night Sex Show lady.
Oh yeah.
And unbeknownst to the other two guests, Conan goads Sue into showing off marital aids, like the new sex toys that are out, and go into it. And he's just like goading her into going into more graphic detail. Just like, oh, so what does it do? Where does it go? All this sort of stuff like that. And then she kind of turns away, and they just kind of show, Selleck and the Big Show just aghast. And she turns around, and she has like a dildo on her chin.
This.
Oh yeah.
Like the rhino horn type thing, but on her chin. So she it's like Tutankhamun, like the goatee that Tutankhamun has, except it's a dildo. And like both of them jump over the couch in complete horror, like they were just running away from a burning car.
That's great.
It's so great.
It's so funny.
So you grew up in Georgia watching this stuff with your folks, is that right?
Mom typically didn't care for it.
Right.
My dad liked almost all of them. And so it was a thing. If I could have permission to stay up late, I could.
Okay.
But not if Mom was also staying up. So there's a lot of like stuff I had to navigate around. Anytime we were over at a friend's house, that's all we would do is watch that. And my dad likes everybody. So he was really thrilled when I told him I was doing it because he was like, oh, like, and he said next time he wants to come to the taping.
Yeah.
So that he can see, what it's like.
Did he like the old talk shows?
Oh yeah, he liked. He's kind of a nerd about it too. Like
he's a preacher, right?
Yeah, he's a preacher.
Yeah,
and,
so he's doing a similar job.
Similar.
Yeah.
Weekly Sunday, 2 shows every Sunday.
Yeah.
1 on Wednesday.
Yeah,
because my daddy, he wasn't like a big talk show watcher, but he used to always say, like with some badge of honor, I remember the night Jack Parr walked off the air because he saw it.
That's pretty cool. I wish I could have seen that. And it's so weird too because Jack Parr quit like in a huff.
Yeah,
like everybody else has to be shoved out.
Yeah,
and he's the only guy who was like, I'm sick of this. He was number 1, and he was just like,
yeah. Well, nobody would have known that night. He was just going to walk off the show, and then he just disappeared.
That's so funny to me that somebody would do that. That is the most badass way to quit, though.
Well, he said there's got to be a better way, and then when they brought him back, the first thing he said is, a few months ago I said there had to be a better way, but I found out there isn't.
Yeah, it's a pretty sweet gig.
Now, I've made a decision about what I'm going to do. I'm leaving The Tonight Show. There must be a better way of making a living than this, and I believe I was let down by this network at a time when I could have used their help. You have been peachy to me always. Jack, you know what I said to you.
Over the mountain, down in the valley, lives the former talk show host. Far and wide his name was known. He said there's no doubt about it. It was the myth of fingerprints. That's why we must learn to live alone.
Caleb, where can people find you on the internet, sir?
Oh, it's just at Caleb Synan. It's my name, CalebSynan. That's my Twitter and Instagram handle. I just got a lot of hate. I tweeted a picture of Donald Trump last night.
I saw that.
You
it
see
was
that?
fantastic from Home Alone 2.
Yeah, it was the At Midnight's trending thing was ruin a Christmas movie. And so I just tweeted a still picture of Donald Trump pointing to where Macaulay Culkin needs to go in the hotel.
Oh, yeah.
And boy, those Trump supporters have Twitter accounts.
Should have told him it was just a retweet.
They hate.
It's just a retweet from a movie.
Oh, that was a perfect little button. Okay. But this is one more thing. The funniest one I got was one of the Trump supporters. His profile picture is Trump. He quoted my tweet and said, like, ha ha ha. Oh, isn't this a soft beta faggot comedian funny? And then he's like, I hate this. And he really hates me. And I got a lot of stuff like that. But that was the one I'll never forget. Soft beta faggot comedian.
Beta?
Yep.
I thought they meant like you were shittier than VHS or
Yeah,
something.
you're not. Although beta was actually better, they say. But it just didn't catch on.
Well, he doesn't know how nice he was with that particular one.
All right. Well, yeah, you can find us on Twitter at The Goods Pod, Facebook.com/The Goods Pod. Song for the week is Jonny Corndawg. The song's called Night Rider.
Ride on, Night Rider, roll into the night. You ain't no daily driver, you don't take advice. Creep on, night creeper, bounce between the lanes. Let the white line be a guide. Still driving rain. Take a rest if you're tired. Sleep if you need. Just recline your recliner. own chest. You can yell to keep yourself from sleeping, or just trust in the road. Understand the spirit of the highway won't let you lose control. All alone on the highway, there's no other kind of life with which a night bright loner would rather waste his time to ride on Night Rider. Roll your iron steed, jamming gears, kicking tires have always been your dream. Fill your stomach with garbage and sit down for days on end, drinking gallons of coffee, wishing that you only had a friend. But you're alone on the highway, and you know how time can crawl. But thank God for Billy Joe Shaver and Tom T. Hall. Ride on, Night Rider. Roll into the night. Let the rumble strips be your guider and carry you safely down the line.
The Goods from the Woods was mixed, edited, and distributed by me, Rivers Langley. You can find the show on Twitter at The Goods Pod. Our theme song was composed by DJ Smiles. Check him out on Twitter at DJ Smiles.